According to its motion for partial summary judgment and memos in support, Nike alleges that StockX conceded and agreed that they allowed the sale of counterfeit Nikes. This is clearly the news that is just all over right now, so I just wanted to share my thoughts real quick on here. Before we even get further along, do I think this is the end of StockX itself? I don't. I understand that as the snap judgment reaction by so many people. One, it gets clicks, it generates traffic. I understand it. And they are certainly caught in such a terrible predicament right now, which we'll touch on how I said like years ago when this lawsuit all first started, this was on them and this was their fault and they put themselves in this position for a very stupid reason. But I don't think this is going to be the end of StockX itself, not by a long shot. And I'll explain why, and it does have to do with the whole Adidas and Kanye thing. But again, if you're not living under a rock within sneakers, the news broke and it was based on the fact that recently unsealed filings from Nike versus StockX case were, again, unsealed. And I'm getting all of this from Sneaker and Streetwear Legal Services on Twitter, so you guys can certainly check that out. I'm pretty sure I'll have some like tweets on the screen here. But more importantly, StockX admitted to selling 77 fake pairs of Nikes, along with discovering a fraud ring that got away with the selling of 1,800 products before it was stopped. And they just put damn, which not that those within the culture didn't already know the rumblings, the complaints, the doubt, the mistrust that may have been present with StockX. And I'll say this is just from a basic consumer perspective. I've had people comment on my videos, especially if it is, let's say, a pair in which I bought off of StockX. One, I think there is a common sense thing. If a pair is extremely hyped and there is any indication, like there is just any thought that it could be a pair that is being easily replicated because there is an upside, everybody just wants it, right? There's just such demand there. I think you need to be smart as a consumer to know if a shoe has super high demand, there's a higher chance that shoe probably has fakes floating around. Therefore, you need to be cautious as a consumer. So many people don't even venture into paying resale for a shoe. They don't trust it if it's not directly from the retailer itself, and I don't blame you there. That is extremely smart. Is there a way in which you may feel more comfortable shopping on secondary sites? It may just be based on your individual experience, because just because I haven't had a bad experience with the platform, it doesn't mean that so many others haven't. And there are horror stories of people that they have bad experiences with StockX, whether it's with buying or with selling. Like the last pair that I bought was a Vomero 5, okay? Because it was so below retail that it was just like the easy pickup for me. Do I think I'm really concerned about a Vomero 5's authenticity? I'm just not. I'm not whatsoever. I am not. Now, if you want to go and buy hyped up pairs, and this is something that I just wouldn't do. There were so many pairs where had I taken an L, it just would have been a no for me to even try for that shoe on StockX, just personally. Like, it just would have been a no. So if I'm thinking about the Air Jordan 1 Lost and Found, it would have been a no for me. If I'm thinking about the Air Jordan 3 White Cement Reimagined, it would have been a no for me. Travis Scott's would also be a no for me. The demand is so ridiculously high there that people act in desperation to not only make money, but also then to just have this pair. And when you act on desperation and just on emotion of wanting something, you may not make the most sound decision. That's also just in life. So I guess just like take that little bit of advice. Thanks for coming to my Teach Talk. But more importantly, I think what just hurts them is the fact that they had to admit, like they admitted its authenticators cannot determine if a product is authentic. Your entire business model is based on trust. It's based on trust with your consumers. So yes, this does not paint a really good picture for them, especially within the culture. Now, why I think this isn't the doom and gloom, this is going to be their downward spiral, I don't think that's the case. And I only think this because we have to remember their entire consumer base of people that are buying on their platform. It's not just us. I know we get so caught up and wrapped up in those of us that have been into this since we were kids, right? It's not just us. Think about how I'm just a teenager, let's just say 13 to 17, right? Don't necessarily have their own money. They want a shoe. They couldn't get it. Probably because mom and dad weren't just trying to break their neck to be on Sneakers app or any other app at 10 o'clock in the morning when they have actual jobs and careers. They're not breaking their neck to be on a site or go into a boutique at an exact time to be able to get you a shoe, or the shoe is really limited. So as a kid, you go to your parent and they ask you, what do you want? It could be for birthday, Christmas, back to school, whatever. Or maybe they just want to treat their kid to something. And they say, well, what shoe do you want? So often, young kids just show you the StockX listing. Like, that's just what they do. They will literally pull up a shoe, and what they're going to show you is just going to be the StockX listing. I know that because having worked in Kids Foot Locker as an assistant manager, so many parents would just walk in back then with a Jordan 1 or a Jordan 4, and they would go, that's not really the price, is it? If you missed out, then that is the going rate right now of that shoe, and it is on you as the consumer if you want to pay that. But that's expanded. It's not just those that are so embedded into sneakers and the stories and the history and the designers and the color. No, just the everyday casual consumer wanting what they want. They just want what they want. Do you think that they are following along every single story breaking in relation to StockX and Nike? I don't think that they are. You can comment below if you think they are. I don't think that they are. The everyday, like Monday through Thursday shopper, I don't know that they're as entrenched in this as we've been for how long it's been going on. Because I said back then, Nike is going to expose some things, right? One, if you're in a lawsuit, you don't usually want to go into a discovery phase. If you have anything to hide, you do not want to enter discovery because it could have so much information drop you do not want dropped. And that's exactly what happens. Do you even remember why we're here? I don't think a lot of people even remember why we're here. This is over NFTs. Fast forward to January. That's when StockX announced their Vault NFTs. You know, you can, what did they say? Let me check here. Collect what's next. The only thing you collected was a lawsuit. And just one little side note, when people say, oh, StockX had time today, when they wanted to throw a shot back at Nike saying, oh, like senior executives also buy and sell on StockX. You had time for that, but you didn't have time to actually attain authorization to use Nike and Jordan brand name, trademark, everything for these Vault NFTs. Apparently not. You didn't have time for that. So what you collected was a lawsuit because you listed 9 total NFTs based on actual sneakers, 8 of them being Nike, which you didn't have authorization for. So because StockX chose to have an inch, let's just take a mile, you're here. You put yourself in this position to now have to admit that you can't authenticate everything. You can't validate that without any ounce of doubt that something is authentic. Yes, that's what your entire business is predicated on. So do I think, again, they completely lose all of their customers? They don't. Now, for a lot of us deep into this, yeah, they're going to have to build and earn that trust back. Does it come back from everyone? For everyone? Absolutely not. But they also don't just focus on sneakers. They have diversified what they offer on that platform, whether it's high-end watches. Somebody joked about Stanley Cups. There are so many things that people want, and if they just want it, they don't care the means in which they're going to get it. And if this platform is making it extremely easy for them to just see the product, put in a bid, buy now, pay, and have the item arrive, they're just still going to do that. And hey, they're going to trust that, again, it's authentic. I liken this to the whole Adidas and Kanye situation, only because far too many people immediately said Adidas is going to go bankrupt. Adidas is going to spiral downward. There's absolutely no one that's wearing Adidas shoes that has nothing to do with Yeezy. I still don't forgive a lot of you for that. I don't, because some of you are very well known, you're respected, like you're in this industry and you said that and you had that sentiment knowing damn well that Adidas is a massive global brand. Do you know how many people were into Adidas, are into Adidas, and it has nothing to do with Yeezy? One, they were probably never going to pay the price tag for a Yeezy. They were content with the plethora of Adidas originals and whatever pairs they may release for specific sports, as well as apparel. Like, we get so much tunnel vision of what happens here just in the States versus looking outside of that. And that's just an American problem as a whole. But Adidas is just fine, right? Look at the stock then, look at the stock now. Adidas is just fine. So I think StockX, long-term, they'll be fine. I'm sure they may take a short-term hit. Long-term, I think they'll be fine because they'll pivot this, right? And they definitely tried to deflect. Like, one of my original videos was about them deflecting, and they're still deflecting right now. because they said that Nike's claims are completely misguided. The products in question in this case amount to a mere 0.0004% of the 17.8 million of Nike sneakers StockX reviewed while this litigation was ongoing. Okay, but you still lied. Like, they just want to paint it as it was just a little white lie. Just a little white lie. Just nothing that y'all need to fret about. Just a little white lie. You still lied. When you tell, and people know this, if you tell a small lie, people are going to then question everything you have ever said. That's how it works. Broken trust ruins a lot. So don't try to deflect. And again, you put your ass in this situation. You could have avoided all of this by just not doing those stupid NFTs. You could have been fine, but you wanted to keep pushing, and you didn't want to back down from this lawsuit, as if Nike does not have some of the best lawyers on retainer and they are earning every billable hour. So this is StockX's fault. I do not feel bad for them. I still think they're going to be okay, because big business usually always ends up being okay at the end of the day. They do. They're going to have the casual consumer still going there and buying. A lot of you may stop, and that is well within your rights. I've seen some people say, oh, like, what's going to happen to GOAT? One, StockX is showing maybe don't poke the bear in terms with Nike, and you won't even have to enter into any situation like this. So I think GOAT would be smart enough to not do that. I don't know that that would ever be a thing they have to deal with, but if you feel more comfortable on GOAT, shop on GOAT. If you still feel comfortable on StockX, shop on StockX. You as a consumer always need to do what you are comfortable doing. You guys already know. Again, I said earlier on, maybe don't go after pairs that you know are so crazy in demand that you're being desperate and you're not thinking, and maybe you are putting yourself in a position to, hey, maybe the shoe, you're not sure. And clearly they're not sure if it's real or not, okay? So go ahead, again, comment your thoughts below on the entire situation. I'm still laughing because they didn't have to get to the discovery phase, but they effed around and they found out. And now their business is all out there. So again, comment your thoughts below. Please be sure to check out my recent video just discussing, again, what's going on with Fear of God, the brand new Model 2. My thoughts on the university clothing may not be what people expect, but hey, those thoughts are out there. As always, act your age, not your shoe size. Peace.